You just couldn't imagine how amazing a sunflower is and how it affects people.
We are smack in the middle of the poorest congressional district in America. Also, one of the biggest and most vast and extensive, expansive food deserts in New York City. A food desert is a place where there is very limited access to fresh fruit and vegetables, and people are disconnected from where their food comes from. Most kids think these fruits and vegetables come from aisle 9 in the supermarket. And it tears my heart out. It tears my heart out because I think it's real tough for kids to have to walk streets like this to come to school. There are 6 jails in this neighborhood, 6 strip clubs, and not even a public library. So I decided that I was not going to accept the things I could not change.
This is South Central. Liquor stores, fast food, vacant lots. So the city planners, they get together and they figure they're going to change the name South Central to make it represent something else. So they change it to South Los Angeles. Like this is going to fix what's really going wrong in the city. This is South Los Angeles. Liquor stores, fast food, vacant lots. Just like 26.5 million other Americans, I live in a food desert. South Central Los Angeles, home of the drive-through and the drive-by. Funny thing is, the drive-throughs are killing more people than the drive-by. People are dying from curable diseases in South Central Los Angeles. For instance, the obesity rate in my neighborhood is like 5 times higher than, say, Beverly Hills, which is like probably 8-10 miles away. I got tired of seeing this happening. And I wonder, how would you feel if you had no access to healthy food? If every time you walk out your door, you see the ill effects that the present food system have on your neighborhood? I see wheelchairs bought and sold like used cars. I see dialysis centers popping up like Starbucks.
Food deserts affect the entire United States, not just the city, but also in rural areas. People living in food deserts are commonly low income and disproportionately ethnic descent. Just like in South Central, grocery stores close their doors to areas with low sales. Convenience stores, fast food restaurants, dialysis centers, and wheelchair sales move in. From a lack of access to fresh produce, obesity rates are high, and preventable diseases are common in food deserts.
So I figured that the problem is the solution. Food is the problem, and food is the solution. Plus, I got tired of driving 45 minutes round trip to get an apple that wasn't impregnated with pesticides. So what I did, I planted a food forest in front of my house. I have a legacy in South Central. I grew up there. I raised my sons there. And I refuse to be a part of this manufactured reality that was manufactured for me by some other people, and I manufactured my own realities. Okay? When $1 worth of green beans will give you like $75 worth of produce. It's my gospel. I'm telling people, grow your own food. Growing your own food is like printing your own money.
So I decided that I was not going to accept the things I could not change, but rather change the things I couldn't accept. And lo and behold, we gave birth to Green Bronx Machines. I am a local educator and lifelong Bronx resident, and I work in a K-12 school, but I am also the founder of Green Bronx Machine. 100% of my kids are either special needs learners, English language learners, homeless, foster care, or adjudicated youth. But I believe that this presents the greatest opportunity to move these kids in some of the most transformational ways to benefit society.
You just couldn't imagine how amazing a sunflower is and how it affects people. I have witnessed my garden become a tool for the education, a tool for the transformation of my neighborhood. To change the community, you have to change the composition of the soil. We are the soil. You'd be surprised how kids are affected by this.
Today was my very first time meeting these children. This is where you make connections. This is where you plant seeds. This is where you sow a harvest of abundant proportions by engaging and involving kids where they learn most, with their hands and with their minds and with their bodies in school. What's behind me is a garden that my students and I built last summer and then took care of all summer long so that these children could come back to school and have fresh vegetables here at the first week of school, setting the tone for a happy, healthy school year.
I see young people and they want to work, but they're in this thing where they're caught up. I see kids of color and they just on this track that's designed for them. That leads them to nowhere. So with gardening, I see an opportunity where we can train these kids to take over their communities, to have a sustainable life. And when we do this, who knows? We might produce the next George Washington Carver. But if we don't change the composition of the soil, we will never do this. I put a garden in this homeless shelter in downtown Los Angeles. The guys, they helped me unload the truck. It was cool, and they just shared the stories about how this affected them and how they used to plant with their mother and their grandmother, and it was just cool to see how this changed them if it was only for that one moment. So Green Grounds has gone on to plant maybe like 20 gardens. We've had like 50 people come to our dig-ins and participate, and it's all volunteers. If kids grow kale, kids eat kale. If they grow tomatoes, they eat tomatoes. But when none of this is presented to them, if they're not shown how food affects the mind and the body, they blindly eat whatever the hell you put in front of them. What I'm talking about is putting people to work and getting kids off the street and letting them know the joy, the pride, and the honor in growing your own food. Opening farmers markets. So what I want to do here, we got to make this sexy. So I want us all to become ecolutionary, renegades, gangsters, gangster gardeners. We got to we got to flip the script on what a gangster is. If you ain't a gardener, you ain't gangster. Get gangster with your shovel, okay? And let that be your weapon of choice.
We built this. That's the amazing thing. Kids who are a part of a problem are now part of the solution. So many of my kids were born into problems and situations that were there way before them. The obstacles of coming to school, overcoming gang violence, overcoming a proliferation of drugs and poorly maintained streets. My graduates are really doing amazing things. They're all staying out of trouble. They're losing weight. They're working. They're going to college. They're making living wage. But most importantly, we're standing here in a garden that my very graduates built and help maintain so that future generations can have the same success that was afforded them. It's about planting seeds. My kids are my seeds, and we are harvesting hope and cultivating minds across the South Bronx. The collateral effects, if you will, of everything that we're doing is just spectacular. Littering is down, graffiti's down, vandalism is down. It is easier to raise healthy children than fix broken men. Block by block, we're changing this city, and that to me is what this movement is all about. Together, we can all prosper. My name is Stephen Ritz, and welcome to the New Bronx. For pennies on a dollar, we can literally reconfigure the way we're feeding our population and do it all because look at the community support we get. So we get tons of parents coming in. Kids take the food home that they grow. We're ready to grow, and we can grow year round, even, in a cold frame. Lettuces, green leafy vegetables, the kind of stuff that, this community needs to combat diabetes and just healthy, hard eating for these kids who have the highest rate of diabetes, the highest rate of asthma. Bronx County has the highest rate of food stamps in New York State, and we can really take this and turn this into our own economy right here.
People ask me, Finn, aren't you afraid people are going to steal your food? And I'm like, hell no, I ain't afraid they're going to steal it. That's why it's on the street. That's the whole idea. I want to plant a whole block of gardens where people can share in the food in the same block. Gardening is the most therapeutic and defiant act you can do, especially in the inner city. Plus, you get strawberries.
Ron Finley and Stephen Ritz both had different approaches to solving food deserts. However, they accomplished the same thing. They both established a nonprofit organization that built gardens within their community or school system. The gardens will ensure longevity and food access in areas of most need. They both have a transformative philosophy in which they incorporate children and that gardening can provide self-sufficiency and less dependence on corporations for fresh produce.
I prefer tomatoes. The taste is about like, it's really fresh and it tastes really, really good. I have peppers, tomatoes, and carrots.
My mom and my dad think it's good because I'm never used to doing this. Because before I used to hate vegetables and fruits and stuff, but my mom got me into it. That's why she put me into this program.